Homeschooling questions. Today, me and my sister, Rachel, will be answering questions about homeschooling since we both
Yes.
grew up most of our lives doing homeschool
Hi,
with our siblings.
everyone. I am Rachel, as my brother Jonathan just said. So, welcome to our channels. You can go to both of ours. I'm sure we will link each other's stuff down below.
Yeah.
So, welcome. So, we have like 8 or 9 questions.
We pulled offline.
Yep. We looked up like popular questions to ask homeschoolers or that sort of idea. All right, so read us the first question, John.
How did we socialize?
Definitely feel like there's a stigma, or used to be, there's less now of homeschoolers being more socially awkward than non-homeschoolers.
Thanks to the internet, people can learn things about anything from anyone. So, socializing is not a problem for us Christians because we went to church every single week.
Yep.
So we were around several hundred other people every single week. Usually twice a week, 3 times a week.
Because twice on Sunday we would go, and then on Wednesdays. So we definitely always saw people.
We're Baptists. We go to church all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course we did sports. So obviously interacting with people in sports, we went out to Walmart shopping. There's people at Walmart. You know, I don't know, like we go shopping.
Depending on where we live, we did. Mom would always ask, "Hey, you want to do baseball, basketball, whatever?" If it was a Christian school, we'd definitely do it with them. I remember we also had a few homeschool groups that we took part in.
Yes.
Both in California and here, and so we had several rings of socialization.
Right, and then even within the churches, because of the youth groups we'd be in, there would be activities or things that we would do. So there was plenty of socializing, and of course we have 6 siblings all together, so we socialize with each other too. So it's not like we didn't know how to speak English to other people.
I think that gets forgotten sometimes. When you have large families, you kind of have a natural socialization within the family.
Yep.
And especially once everybody gets older.
Oh, and also because we were a military family, we met
military
so
functions.
many different kinds of people because every time we would move, different church, different people, different schools. So I feel like we actually socialized more so than maybe a lot of people that we knew.
Yes, that's true. Because, we had the benefit of traveling around. So not only are we going to different churches every 2 or 3 years, usually, we're also just meeting different people through military functions.
Yeah.
The neighbors we'd live with. So unlike some homeschoolers who might grow up in one area their whole time, live in one house, we lived in 8 different homes.
Something like that.
I keep a list.
I mean, you more than me because you're the oldest and I'm second
youngest. So you were born in Washington.
Yes.
And at that time, I'd already lived in Florida and Japan.
Right.
There it is.
How many?
So there's Florida, there's Japan, Washington. This is where you had been born. We were there 5 years.
Okay.
And then Guam 2 years, California about 3 years total, and then here in Dover, Delaware. It was 4 years at first, then it was South Carolina.
Right.
Where you guys finished
I was there
out.
for 6 years.
Yep.
Then moved here, and I've been here so far for 5-ish.
And I think I've been back here for 7, 8 years.
Okay.
Something like that.
Lots of travel.
Yep.
All right.
Next
Question number 2. Why were we homeschooled? So I think we can answer this, even though it's technically a question for like our parents. I remember Mom saying that the reason she first wanted to homeschool you was simply just because she was so sad to see her little son go to kindergarten. Like, that was her reason. She was like, oh, it's so sad. He has sleeping. And she was just so sad. She was like, I just want to do, I want
All they did was sit me down in front of a video, so homeschooling was much better. Mom taught us in person, flashcards, flannel boards. She went all out. It was school at home when we were young.
Yeah. But initially, there was no big grand scheme or reason. It was just...
It was cheaper, too. Way cheaper.
Yeah.
It would have cost her $2,000 a year to put me in kindergarten, whereas at home, $240 for books, cards, and nice stuff.
Yeah. And nowadays...
And that was the first time. Each year, you just add a little bit. It's not that expensive.
Exactly. Nowadays, since I have a son that's 4, I've been looking up prices, and the general price for my area for kindergarten is about $4,000 a year. Could be up to $6,000 a year. That's kind of average for the paid kindergarten classes. So it's gone up a little bit more as well. So yeah, that would be why initially she started. I guess her reason probably had changed a little bit as we've got older. I think she was concerned about outside influence.
Yes.
Because we are a Christian
Yes.
family, that was a concern for her.
Yeah.
Christian schools are more expensive than public schools, so of course her options were pay for Christian school or just do it at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that was a huge factor.
The benefit of controlling the environment, being at home, is you know who's influencing your kids, and if you have them from a young age all the way up, you're fully controlling a massive majority of that influence. Whereas at school, you're sending them off to school, wherever it is, public, charter, private. There's other influences that you're not controlling because you're off at work or you're at home. So there's that benefit of having, you're morphing your kid more so than society is.
Right. Yep. All right. I think we answered that one pretty good. All right. Read us the next one.
What curriculum did we use?
I think a few.
Yes, I remember a Becca book we used a lot,
Especially
and
when
some
you're
Bob
younger.
Jones materials as well.
I think those were the two main ones.
They were. We had a Saxon math book. Mom tried.
Math.
I didn't like it. I don't know if any of the other
I
siblings.
used it. I don't think I minded it, but I don't think it was something I really liked.
I got the gist or the understanding that Saxon math was written for like brainiacs, people who are really good with math.
Yeah, the way it's set up is like it's just basically progressive, where it just keeps adding on each very fast paced. Yeah, it just keeps.
So if you didn't grasp the concept of one lesson,
you just can't really move on.
You gotta stuck.
You got to get that concept.
And later years, when I was in private school, I was alongside students who did Saxon math, and they loved it. They enjoyed it, but they were the kind that were doing algebra 1, 2, 3, calculus, trigonometry, and getting A's and B's. So. That was for them, not me. And in high school, I had to do Saxon math because that was their curriculum.
Right.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I had to do algebra 1. I hated it.
But I think our family just doesn't love math.
Yeah. Well, James is always good at remembering numbers, I feel like.
I think it was because he was good at memorization in general.
Oh, that's true.
I think.
So, and Dad was the same way. That's probably where James got it from.
He was very good at
But yeah, other than that, we're more spatial thinkers, artistic thinkers.
Yeah, imagination.
Was that left brain?
Yeah, I think so. Left brain.
More left brain.
Artistic brains. Yes. All right. Did we enjoy being homeschooled?
For sure.
I enjoyed it. I definitely did. Now we weren't 100% homeschooled the whole time. So when did you go to school at a Christian school?
The very first, I think it was only a semester. I don't think it was a whole year. But
okay.
Kindergarten. I went to private school for kindergarten. Immediately after that, Mom's like, I'm teaching my kids. And it was homeschooled from, oh gracious, that was 90, I don't know if I had years on there. Late 80s. Or no, I guess it would have been early 90s because I was born in 84.
Mm-hmm.
No, it could have been late 80s. Yeah. I'm so old.
Well, how old were you when I was born? Because I was born in 91. That was in Washington.
So 84 to 91. I'm not good at math, so.
We just established that already.
85, 86, 7, 8, 90, 91. I was about 7. Oh, that's right. I do remember. Yeah. So about 7 years old. 6, 7. That we would have started homeschool full time, so Mom would have. And I remember she included little Joseph in a few things, but not a lot. Like it was mostly me and James, because James was ready for kindergarten, and obviously I was ready. And so it was homeschooled there all the way up till, let's see, 98 would have been the first year where we did, like, with other homeschoolers, stuff together with them.
Right.
98, 99. Then we moved here in 2000 to Delaware, and Mom wanted to put me in school for high school, so I had my first year, 9th grade of high school in 2000.
I remember her
while the rest of you were at home.
Her reason for putting you in high school is she was a little bit concerned about high school level being a little hard. And
at the time, I guess there were video courses available, but she asked me, like, would you like to try a private school? You know, we're willing to pay for it, or at least help pay for it, because I wound up getting a job and paying for it. But yeah, she gave me the option. I was like, yeah, I guess I'll try.
Right.
Because I figured it's a small school, and I was still shy back then. That was just my nature. Joseph and Jacob, my siblings, like, never shy, but me and James were, like, always shy. We didn't get over it till.
Maybe because you guys were the oldest, so there was.
I just think it's personality.
Okay. Yeah.
Personality.
That's true.
I don't think you were ever really shy either.
No, Mom says I was even less shy when I was younger, so I guess I've never been shy.
I'm glad it was a mental thing. I got over it.
Yeah, and one year I went to school full time. That was when I was in 7th grade. It was the same private school that he went to.
Yes, that was the year everybody went to school because Mom taught art at the school. She was able to be there to keep an eye on us, and
Possibly
also
she
got
got
a discount.
Discount because she
Big
also
discount.
decided
Put all of us
to teach as well, not just art that year.
That's right. She did.
So she actually taught
things.
my math class.
She supervised the Spanish class.
Yeah.
The kids loved her. She had
Yeah.
love her.
Yeah, I think it was Spanish math.
That's because she's been a teacher all her life. So.
Yeah. So that kind of fits.
So yeah, we definitely enjoyed homeschooling.
But yeah, then after that, the only time I ever went to school after that was part-time Christian school when we moved to South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly homeschooled, but I did 2 classes at a Christian school with some of my older brothers because we wanted to play sports with them. And so they're like, sure, you just got to do 2 classes with us. You know, sign up for 2 classes. That's what we did.
Yeah, each school is different. Some schools will just let homeschoolers take part in whatever they want to.
Yep.
Others, like Emmanuel in South Carolina, were like, well, if as long as you pay for a couple classes, then we'll let you take part in the extracurriculars.
Yep. So, of course, we got socialization there, too.
Yep.
All right, what's our next question?
How did we get into college? We just did. Well, I had the benefit of graduating from high school, so I got, my fancy little diploma.
Right, so when you were at that private Christian school, you actually graduated from there.
Yeah. But the rest of you...
We got, I think when we were in South Carolina, we signed up for a homeschool group type thing where basically it was a homeschool group that would issue your diplomas and they would just keep record of your grades and you passing and all of that.
Yeah, so Mom just had to turn in the records because she did an excellent job of keeping records.
She did the whole time. She always kept records.
And so she just had to turn them into the school and they verified, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
And
so we actually had a homeschool graduation with other homeschools in the area that also got the diploma. So we had a regular graduation. We met these other graduates for the first time on graduation day. It was kind of cool.
I remember watching the videos online. I think I just joined the Air Force, so I was away. But yeah, that was neat. And that's, if anything, a couple steps up from a basic because you don't have to do that, especially nowadays. It's so easy nowadays. There's programs where you can sign up your kids online from the beginning. And so they'll have all the records kept for you. And so when you graduate, you're ready to go. They have the records from the beginning. But yeah, there's a lot of organizations and even churches and private schools who will help make sure you get your official paperwork.
Or you could just take your GED.
Yep.
Which is available to anyone. Even if you graduate high school, you can take a GED if you wanted. Yes. So I actually never went to college.
But I did. Gracious, I went to college all over the place. I did a year and a half at Bob Jones University. We each had credit. You probably still have it. Yeah. Credit for taking homeschool curriculum. We each have. They just automatically grant you $4,000 or $6,000. Yeah. So to put on your account. So that's nice. But yeah, I went there for a year and a half, but because the bill was growing and I didn't really have any income, I stepped out of it. I'd eventually go back under the GI Bill, the military. Didn't finish though. I wound up moving here, and I'm about to finish actually this next month. I'll have my bachelor's from Wilmington University. And while I was in the Air Force, I took some classes for University College of Maryland. So I got no problem. The Air Force did give me a little issue, which I don't quite understand that. The old paperwork or whatever. They lost my diploma. I was not able to find it. That. So that was a bit of a fuss. Anyways, otherwise I haven't really had any problem getting into college.
Yeah, and we've had a couple other brothers that have gone to college and stuff. They've never had any issue with it. Our younger brother, he didn't graduate under homeschool. He graduated going to school.
From private school, yeah. So,
but yeah, there was never any issue about like, oh, you're homeschooled.
But yeah, I know a captain in the Army who did his, let's see, he was in public school for a little bit, but he also did homeschooling. He had no problem getting, because he finished his high school homeschool, and he had no problem getting into the Army, becoming an officer, all that. And when you become an officer, you have to go to college. So,
right.
Yeah, college is not a problem.
Nope, not at all. All right, next question. How did we do high school? So high school, I think a lot of parents sometimes are like, oh, it's high school. I don't know if I can teach my children high school. Well, there's so many options. one of the options that we definitely utilized was using an online resource for the teaching. So we actually had other teachers that were online that would teach our schooling. So like for algebra, my mom could not teach us algebra, so we signed up. It was through Bob Jones. They have actual teachers, and you can do a satellite course.
So they would record it live.
It would be a live class, and we actually recorded the class. And so the class had other students participating in the class, and the whole thing's recorded. So we're hearing other students' questions, and the teachers interacting with those students. So even if we were watching a recorded version, it still felt like we were getting that classroom experience because we're at least getting those questions.
And you could always email them anytime.
Yes, you can email them.
You had to send in tests anyways.
Yeah, that's true. So that was basically how she got around not knowing how to teach, high school grade classes. Yep. The other option is like utilizing your homeschool group, because there might be parents that are really good at math, so they can teach math, and then you might have another parent that's good at English. We actually did that with a family.
Mrs. Dow.
Yep.
She taught literature.
She was a writer, or is a writer, so she taught us our grammar and literature and English. And then my mom, basically in turn, let her children with us use our Spanish class that we had pre-recorded. So that's kind of how we, got around that.
Yeah, this is a couple of her books. There's her name,
yeah, that's
Mrs.
right.
Dow. These are two of her other books.
So yeah, we got taught our English by an actual published writer.
Author. She even later came to the high school I went to, and she taught us there too.
Yeah,
my last
right.
year. That was cool. I liked her literature class. It was fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool. Getting taught English by a writer.
Yes.
Cool. All right, what's our next question?
Did we have a choice to homeschool?
Initially, no.
Yeah, but when you're little, you don't have a choice in anything. So,
right.
But yeah, I remember several times growing up. My goodness, I was probably like 10, and Mom would ask, "Do you like homeschooling? Sure you don't want to go to because there's the military public schools, they're better than I guess the typical public school." And so Mom asked, "Do you want to go to public school?" Like, no, I like homeschool. And back then it would have been more of just I'm scared. I would have been shy, but still, it was fun. It was good. It was comfortable. Yeah. I was learning. I was enjoying it. And years later, when she'd ask, "But I'm fine." And then when it came to high school, it was more of I don't know if I can teach you high school. Maybe you should really go. I'm like, right. Okay, I'll try.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely had a choice.
I remember when I was very little, I loved school, in our homeschool. I loved learning and I loved our homeschool, but I do remember at a young age, really wishing to have that school experience. I think just because I loved the idea of teaching and school and stuff, that I was like, I really want that school experience. But I did get that in my 7th grade, and in comparison, I actually decided I liked the homeschool better. Of course, that was just one school, 1 year, and I did wind up taking classes at another school. And again, I still actually really loved my homeschool experience. But yes, I did get, that choice of taking classes and what to do sports with the school. I don't know if she ever asked me if I wanted to go in full time. I don't know, but I think I was pretty content with what I had. I was happy with it. So I guess the answer is no when we were very little, and then yes as we got older. Yeah.
And now there's a lot of options for doing high school anyways.
Yeah, there are so many more options.
So if you do want to homeschool your kids, you can literally offer them choices. Yeah, you could offer them public school, which is like bottom rung, or you could do private school, or various online stuff. And some of the online education stuff that's available, I mean, just on my bookmarks, I have 10 different online universities that are safe, and they start at high school level stuff. So you could high schoolers who have the homeschool online experience can really get ahead and learn a lot of stuff and go right into college level learning.
Right. I personally think, especially at the high school level, there's a great advantage for homeschooling just because of that. Because you can personalize your schooling yourself.
Personalization.
And you can't do that at school, because it has to be something that all the students can do. So
even the best teachers in a classroom that have an amazing classroom and do a lot of variety of things, they're only going to really effectively teach those handful of students that are that teaching is best for.
Right.
The other students who need a different type of teaching, they get left behind.
Right.
Whereas the homeschool, a parent not only knows their kid the best, but you can adopt your school. You can adopt education to however they need.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's our next question?
Do we have friends? How do we do dating?
Yes, I think this goes back to that socialization stigma. Of course we had friends. Of course we knew how to socialize and make friends, and you meet guys and girls and date and all that. And of course we were able to do those things.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've kind of said that before. You know.
It does tie into socializing. But yeah, there was no problem. She tried dating. I didn't. I got asked on a date. I was scared. I said no. I was 14 at the time. The girl comes to the door, and I answered the door, and her and her friend. I'm just like, hey, I remember her. She came to the Awana Club at church. I'm like, what are you doing here? She's like, hey, we're having a prom here. I just wanted to see if you want to come out. I was like, whoa, prom, dancing. I hate dancing. So I went right to mom and said, hey, this girl's at the door. And mom's like,
ask me out.
You can go if you want to. I was like, I don't want to.
I remember that day clearly. And I was like, what is going on? I was like, I thought this was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, I remember being so disappointed that John said no.
Nowadays, I probably said yes. I wouldn't have danced. Like, but I probably said, yeah, I would just to see. What is this prom thing? Yeah, I now know what it is.
I did go to prom.
I mean, girls like it because they dress up and they look pretty among their peers. So that's why they like it. Mm-hmm. Guys might like it maybe if they're the, what do you call it, metrosexual kind who like to dress up and be fancy in front of others. Or just for their ego, I got a pretty girl on my shoulder.
If they have a girl that they want to take out for that.
To show off.
Yeah.
It's... Yeah. Whatever.
Really, the options...
I could care less about prom.
The options are the same as far as meeting people to date. If you're
you guys went to a prom, didn't you? With the school.
Because we participated in that school, we were also invited to go to prom. So my brothers took the girls that went there to school. I think there was a couple years they took like someone else from somewhere else, but and then my date was not from that school either. But yeah, like that was totally fine. We got to have that experience. It was, I guess, fine.
Besides the obvious option of online dating, this church and your neighbors and the students you meet with homeschool groups, church groups, all that.
Homeschool groups, sports groups.
There's options.
Groups, Walmart.
And then if you did go to college, there's that too. I mean, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Last question.
Last question. Do you stay in PJs all day long?
If you want to.
You can. Absolutely. I do remember there was a time where Mom was like, oh, we need more structure. I think because we were maybe being more...
She likes structure in general.
Yeah, she does. So I do remember there were some times where she would be like, all right, I need you to make your bed first. You need to, brush your teeth, get dressed, be clean. Like all these different things before we started school. But that was not necessarily something that we did all the time. Sometimes we would just
have chill days.
Our school in our pajamas.
And that's one of the neat things about homeschooling is it's extremely versatile, pliable, flexible.
Yep.
I'm using a bunch of synonyms. You can do so much with it. We would have times where Mom would get up and be like, I don't feel like doing school today. We're not doing school.
Yeah.
Yay!
We could go on random field trips.
Or exactly, like, okay, we're going to go here. And it had an educational purpose. And we could just... And if we... travel cross country, it wasn't hard to incorporate educational stuff.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about but what about school? Are we going to get behind? We just take our school with us, or some of the things that we could take with us, and that was totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really, really fun. We did that a handful of times.
And again, with nowadays students, online access, you can do so much.
That's true. Nowadays, that's even easier because you can take your online stuff with you. Back then, of course, we couldn't take online stuff with us.
We grew up in the days before cell phones. And before YouTube and Facebook.
Before tablets and things like that, where you could mobily take.
Because I used VHS tapes.
Yes,
I even have I don't have
tapes.
Yeah, physical black VHS tapes. Those were my pre-recorded lessons we got from a back of book.
Right.
They, because they were younger, by the time they were high school level, did DVD and fancy. Satellite. So it was newer, fancy. And they would have been the students that used email. My teachers weren't live. They were recorded back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm rewatching them.
Right.
But it was still great. I like my teachers. I still remember Mr. Howell, my math teacher, my 6th grade math teacher.
Yeah, I remember some of my teachers.
Don't remember her name, but I remember she was exciting. The blonde who taught science. She was just a little healthy bit of crazy, which is good for science class.
Yep, we had a crazy science teacher, Mr. Harmon.
Yes, you got to meet him.
Yes,
redhead.
we did.
Yeah.
That was cool because when we would visit colleges like any other high schooler would, and we got to meet some of the teachers that taught our high school that were there at the Bob Jones University. That was pretty cool. That was really neat. It was kind of like, it felt like you were meeting a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, because you're like, oh,
you go to the studio building and you have all the rooms where they
and we
teach the
got
class.
to see how they record things and stuff. That was cool. Yeah. Well, that's all the questions that we have. If you guys have questions, definitely comment down below and we'll answer them for you. And if there's like tons of questions, maybe we'll do part 2.
Yeah, although I guess cross references. Okay, what do we have any questions that are the same?
Right, exactly.
This was 10, maybe we could do 20. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But each homeschooler's experience, though there'll be a lot of similarities, they'll be different.
Yep, and that's the great thing about it is you can personalize your homeschool experience. But yeah, let us know if you would consider homeschooling your children or future children. I'm just really curious how many people are open to that. Maybe you don't know if you're going to do that, but you're open to it. I personally am considering that for my son as well. He's not quite old enough to start schooling, so I haven't decided, but it's something that I've been thinking a lot about.
We could put you in contact with our mom. She raised all 6 of us.
Oh, and we have lots of resources and links. So if you have questions about specific things, like ask us, and we'll give you some resources that we personally
I got a few books.
Just a couple.
All right.
Thank you for watching.